Let's run through some of the features in CabMaster version 8. To start with, when you start a new job, select the client and type in the client's details. This information can be used later on to appear on reports, cut-in lists and plans that you distribute to the client. Next, you can allocate a job number and information about the height of the job. Once you've entered that information, you can then proceed to designing the room, usually started by drawing walls. Although walls are not necessary in CabMaster, they do come in handy to help lay out the room. Now that I've positioned the walls how I'd like them, I'm going to start adding cabinets. Let's start with a wall fridge cabinet. To edit the cabinet, double-click on the cabinet. We can then go and change things like the size of the fridge and the clearance on either side of the fridge. I could also change the depth to the front of the fridge. Now that I have that, I'll move that into position. Next, I'm going to need a panel. In this particular design, the panels will go on the outside edges of the fridge and the outside of the wall, followed by a cabinet between. You can see that I do not need walls to draw this design. I simply place the cabinet and it snaps to the other objects that are in the design. I'll add another panel to the outside to cover the fridge and change the depth to bring it all the way forward. Next, I'm going to grab a tall drawer pantry. This particular cabinet, I'll increase the depth, and now I'll increase the height of the drawer section. By typing in 900 minus the kick height of 140, it'll automatically calculate the base cabinet height, so it matches the base cabinets throughout the rest of the room. I've now turned on my auto dimensions. Next, I'm going to go and grab a blind corner cabinet and pop that in the corner. Let's change the size of the panel width and add a shelf. I'll also add a pipe chase in this cabinet in the back right hand corner, as there is a stack in this job and I do need to work around that. You can see it's simply just adding a pipe chase, typing in the size and the location of where you need that particular pipe chase. Next, I'll go ahead and add a filler in. To do this, I'm going to remove the bench top and also change the size of the filler to suit the gap that I require. By pressing the plus key, it rotates in 90-degree movements until I get it in the right orientation. I can now move this in 3D by a set amount, so I'm going to move it to the right by 16 mm. I'm also going to increase the size to come all the way forward. Now I can simply stretch my tall drawer cabinet across until it butts in to the filler. Next, I'm going to add a wall vent split cabinet, so a roller shutter type cabinet. Increase the size, remove the handles and place that in the corner, again using the plus key to rotate. Let's place a one drawer bin cabinet beside the blind corner. Next, I'll grab a dishwasher. Followed by the sink. But first, let's add some dimensions. Let's place a filler in the corner and then measure the distance between the sink and the filler using the tape measure feature. I can simply type in the size of the cabinet, close that, and add the 2 cabinets that I require to fill that space. Next we're going to need to add the overhead cabinets. I'll start with a filler in the corner, and now I'll use a 2-door cabinet and change this into a lift type door, like an Ventos system. First I'm going to need to figure out the size, so I'll type in the wall size, 3989.3, and divide that by 4. Change my door settings and place the cabinet in place. As you can see, this snaps in place quite easily. Now let's move on to the island cabinet. Start with a floor free drawer cabinet. I'm going to remove the bench top as I would like to use a big island bench top. You'll see that shortly. I'll rotate that around so it's in the correct orientation. Next to the 3-drawer cabinet I'll place the underbench oven. Now, let's modify this 3-drawer cabinet. Go ahead and turn this into a shadowline style cabinet. So I'm just going to tick the Allow for Rails button. That adds in the rails and the necessary cutouts. And also tick Angled Door Back, which will angle the back of my doors on a CNC machine. Next, let's add some cabinets on the back of this run. I simply reduce the depth, add a shelf, and then place them directly onto the back of the cabinets, and they snap into place. Go ahead and remove the handles from those. Now let's add some cabinets on the side of this. Let's start with some panels. For this I'm also going to need to remove the bench top and the kickboard in this case. Bring that out so it's 300, but just a shorter depth there, and rotate that around and snap that into place. I'm going to now add a duplicate of this panel and press the plus key to rotate that into place. Now let's duplicate one of these other cabinets. Rotate that, reduce the size, snap it into place, and then stretch it to fit the opening. Let's just turn off these labels on the panels just to make this presentation look a bit neater. I'm now going to remove the existing bench tops on the two-door base cabinets. Next I'm going to need to add in the bench top. Simply type in the size of the bench top, the overall depth, and I'm going to tick Extend to Floor on the right hand side for a waterfall end. Pop that into place and turn off Detect Collisions to allow it to slide into place easier. Now that I have that in place, I'm going to add some accessories. Let's start with the cooktop. Type in the sizes of the cooktop and select the image that I'd like to use. Get that into place. Now let's do the same for a range hood. Now that I have that there, I can move on. Let's just window the whole thing, shift it around until we're happy with the position. Now let's say the client wants to change the bench top height at this point. So you've already drawn the job. We can see that our bench height here, or our cabinet height, is 860, and our wall height is 700. Let's go into the drawing properties and let's refer back to the top of the bench that we selected earlier. We're going to type a new size of 920 so it all raises. Go back and have a look at the base cabinet, which is now up to 880, and then the wall cabinet, which has been increased to 680 or decreased to 680. Every cabinet changes, even the island units, all with just the one simple change. So last minute changes are not a problem in CabMaster. Let's add some lights in to enhance the quality of the 3D image. Now let's have a look at that in 3D. I'm going to copy this image so I can use this on my plans later on. Now let's add some elevations to the page. Simply right-clicking on a wall and selecting Auto Elevation produces the elevation for that wall. Then you can place them either on a separate page or on the same page as I'm doing here. I'm going to zoom to see the full extent of the page, and perhaps just shift that top drawing down slightly. I'll now paste in my 3D image, shift that into place. Now I'm going to right click on that and change the order to send it to the back so it doesn't overlay any of my images. Now that I'm happy with that, I may choose to print that or print it to a PDF. That way you can email it to a client. And here's the finished PDF. But let's do something a bit more special than that. Let's send them a 3D PDF. Give the client something that they can interact with. To do that, simply go to Export and export a 3D PDF. This allows you to open this in Adobe Reader, a free product from Adobe. You can do things like rotate, zoom, pan, change it to a transparent view as I'm doing here, which is my personal favorite. This is everything the client can do in the comfort of their own home. You're giving them something truly unique. Moving on to reports. Of course, once you've drawn a job, you need to produce reports. So to do that, simply go to Reports, select the report you'd like to see. CabMaster then generates that information and will prompt you with some choices. You can change whatever you like about those reports, or just go with the defaults. Looking at the default 2-column cutting list report here, you'll see that I've got a cutting list with a visual aspect of the individual cabinets turned on, which is very good for things like packing lists for trucks to ensure that no parts are missed when sending cabinets out onto site. Another common report would be a door report. So let's quickly produce a door report. This is a report that you can then use to order doors from a third-party supplier. Next, we're going to have a look at EasyNest. So to take this job from a design and send it into manufacturing, we simply export the information, open up EasyNest, set in the sizes of the sheets that we would like to use. This is relevant to the machine that you use. Import the drawing, give that a name, and press go. And just like that, we have created 23 sheets. Have a flick through the sheets, make sure that you're happy with the current design. And in a nutshell, that is CabMaster Premium version 8 with EasyNest. Hope you've enjoyed this video. You can see more on YouTube or cabmaster.com.au.